Funke had just finished reviewing the quarterly reports of her father's sprawling empire when her phone buzzed. It was Akin, the man who had, just 7 days ago, knelt before her in tears, vowing eternal love and promising marriage by the end of the year. Smiling at the screen, she pressed the green button and said sweetly, "Akin, darling." His cold voice sliced through her words. "Funke, listen. Don't ever call this line again. I'm no longer interested in this relationship." And just like that, the line went dead. Funke's hand trembled as she slowly lowered the phone. A chill ran through her as reality settled over her chest like a boulder. He was the 10th man in just 2 months. And just like the others, he had walked away after swindling her. This time of 10 million naira. The pain, however, was not just in the money. It was in the cold pattern repeating itself with alarming cruelty. Tears welled up in her eyes and spilled freely down her round cheeks. Her cries filled the luxurious sitting room. She clutched a silk pillow tightly, but its softness could not soothe the sharp ache in her heart. Each man had come with dazzling charm, sweet promises, and carefully crafted lies. Each had promised her love. Each had spoken of marriage, and each had disappeared as soon as the money landed in their account. But deep inside, Funke knew the truth they would never say to her face. She had heard whispers, seen the looks of disgust barely masked by fake smiles. She knew the reasons they ran. First, her face. Her mouth was unnaturally wide, filled with oversized teeth that crowded one another like angry soldiers. Second, her weight. She was not just fat. She was massive, easily 150 kilograms. Her large, wobbling body drew uncomfortable stares everywhere she went. Third, and most damning, was her mouth odor. It was unbearable. No mint, gum, or medicated rinse had ever tamed it. Her breath could clear a room. Her staff had grown accustomed to it, but always found excuses to step back whenever she leaned in to speak. And finally, her body odor, a sickening sour stench that clung to her skin like a curse. It had baffled the best dermatologists and perfumers in Lagos. No amount of imported body spray or fragrance from Paris could overpower it. Funke was a billionaire, Nigeria's youngest female mogul, but her riches had bought her nothing in the realm of true love. Her father had died 2 years ago, leaving her his entire empire: real estate, oil, fintech, shipping. But the same wealth that gave her the world had cursed her with parasites disguised as lovers. She knew what the men saw: a lonely, desperate. Her father had died 2 years ago, leaving her his entire empire: real estate, oil, fintech, shipping. But the same wealth that gave her the world had cursed her with parasites disguised as lovers. She knew what the men saw: a lonely, desperate woman, rich, generous, and hungry for affection, an easy target. Wiping her tears, she sat upright. "Enough," she muttered. "I won't be fooled again." Her heart still ached, but her mind began to blaze with clarity. She would devise a test so thorough, so emotionally precise, that no liar or gold digger could pass it. Any man who claimed to love her would have to go through it. Only someone who truly saw her, not her money, would remain. But what could the test be? Could anything truly distinguish real love from the schemes of sweet-talking frauds? She didn't have the answer yet. But one thing was sure: she would never cry like this again. After her painful realization and resolution, Funke designed a simple yet brutal test. This would be phase 1, the elimination stage. A test of endurance, sincerity, and unfiltered exposure. She called it the Room of Truth. Each suitor who expressed love was to spend 4 hours per day with her for 7 straight days in a tightly enclosed room. The rules were simple: no fan, no air conditioner, no open windows, no stepping out, just her, him, and silence, or conversation, locked in the room. The test began. But Funke didn't just rely on her natural state. Before each session, she made a conscious effort to eat a large bowl of beans soaked in red oil and onions, with ripe plantain on the side, and washed it down with thick, creamy milk. This potent mix was her formula for powerful flatulence, noisy, rancid, unforgiving. The room was freshly cleaned every morning, but no amount of air freshener could survive what Funke unleashed. The first suitor, Chuka, a 30-year-old gym instructor, walked in with confidence and flirtatious charm. 10 minutes in, the first fart broke the silence, a long bubbling explosion, like a deflating balloon squeezed at the nozzle. Chuka's smile disappeared. He coughed. She smiled. Then came the second wave. Silent, deadly, thick. The air changed. It grew heavy, humid, sharp like acid. Chuka faked a phone call, excused himself for the restroom, and vanished. The next day, it was Bayo, a 34-year-old banker, well-dressed, sweet-talking, and pretending to enjoy every moment. But Funke leaned in often during conversation. Her mouth odor, hot, stale, with a rotting sourness, hit him like a hammer. Still, he smiled. At the 40-minute mark, she farted again, a short sputtering burst, but the smell was dense, unbearable. Bayo broke into cold sweat, clutched his stomach, and begged to use the restroom. He left his Rolex behind in his panic. He never returned. By the end of the first week, 3 more had failed. Tochukwu, Umar, and Lanre, all escaping before the hour mark. Week 2 came with renewed energy, but the outcomes were even worse. Osas, a confident businessman, lasted 25 minutes. When the room got warm and the stench intensified, he fainted. Flat on the tiled floor, eyes wide open, unconscious. Her body odor, an old fermented smell, like soaked socks left under the sun, combined with the fart and breath, knocked him cold. He woke up outside the room, surrounded by her worried staff, then fled with no goodbye. Then came Tolu, a medical student, brave. He lasted 1 hour, but suddenly he began to sweat, holding his stomach. "Excuse me, please," he whispered. But before he reached the door, he crouched and screamed. Diarrhea. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors said his system had reacted violently. In total, 15 suitors came over 2 months. Some ran, others lied, a few wept. Not one made it past day 3. Funk grew quieter. She sat by her window each night, watching the stars. Her wealth couldn't buy her true love. It couldn't buy her acceptance. All she wanted was someone who wouldn't flinch, someone who could look past the foulness, the odor, the noise, and still say, "I love you." But perhaps no one could. She stopped eating. She stopped speaking. Her staff grew worried. Then, one evening, she said softly to herself, "Maybe this is my fate." But is it really the end of the road? Could there be someone who could truly endure it all? Not for money, but for her. Could love survive in the stink of rejection? After weeks of testing, embarrassment, and heartbreak, Funke sat silently in her private sitting room, staring at the list of men who had failed. Each name reminded her that no one could love her, not truly. 15 men had tried, 15 had failed. The smell was always too much. But then came Emeka. Emeka was young, very tall, and so painfully thin that his ribs pushed hard against his dark skin. His shoulders were sharp, his arms long and bony, and his cheeks hollow, like someone carved them out. He was as skinny as a broomstick, and when he walked into the room for the test, Funke almost screamed. "This one again?" she murmured under her breath. Funke, a 35-year-old extremely fat and robust dark-skinned woman with a wide mouth and large scattered teeth, frowned deeply. She was dressed in a flowing gold kaftan, sweat gathering around her neck from the heat of the room. "Remove your shirt," she commanded. Emeka did. It was an eyesore. His chest was flat, thin and sunken, his bones sticking out like wires beneath his skin. He had no meat on him. "Why did you come here?" Funke asked with disgust. "I came to help," Emeka said simply. She almost dismissed him, but then again. What could it hurt, she thought. He may not even last 5 minutes. And so the test began. Funke, already full from her usual preparation, beans, milk and boiled eggs, sat heavily on her stool. She didn't hold back. She farted, long crackling explosions, followed by silent but deadly ones. The room grew thick with a suffocating swampy odor, like a mixture of rotten eggs, sour milk and burning rubber. Funke coughed at a point. Even she was choking on her own gas. But Emeka, he sat calmly on the sofa, legs crossed, smiling politely. "So tell me about your business journey," he asked, unfazed. Funke stared. She leaned forward, her foul-smelling breath hitting his nose directly. It smelled of decay, fermented onions, and raw sewage. Still, Emeka didn't flinch. He nodded, continued smiling, and even offered her his handkerchief when she wiped her nose. After 4 full hours, the room was a hell of toxic air, but Emeka passed. "You've passed my test," Funke said coldly, "but I'm not interested. I don't like your look." Emeka only smiled. "That's fine. I didn't come for love. I came to help." Funke blinked. "Help?" "My father is a herbalist," Emeka said, pulling out a brown leather bag. "He specializes in odor cleansing, spiritual and physical." From the bag he brought out 3 bottles, a thick green liquid to drink twice daily, a blackish paste to brush the mouth each morning, a pale yellow powder to dissolve in bathwater and soak with every night. These are ancient Igbo herbs, natural, potent, no side effects, he explained in flawless English. Funke's jaw dropped. "Wait, you speak good English?" "I'm a graduate of microbiology," Emeka said. "I've been battling tuberculosis for 2 years. No money for proper treatment. I only came because I heard your story. I thought I could help." Funke felt tears in her eyes. She immediately arranged for his treatment at one of the best hospitals in Lagos. They agreed to meet in 1 month. Exactly 1 month later, Emeka returned. He was a different man, flesh on his bones, skin glowing, shoulders now broad, his eyes bright with life. His clothes fit him properly now, his voice stronger, richer. Funke, too, had changed. No more mouth odor, no more body stench. Her skin glowed, her teeth cleaned, and her confidence returned. They both looked at each other, smiled, and this time, love sparkled. What started as a nightmare became destiny. They married in a grand celebration that drew the attention of the whole city. At the wedding reception, Emeka held her close and whispered, "This is truly the smell of love."